I would like to backtrack the last 30 seconds. Jennifer Valley, that is a great question. And it leads right into our weaving for the day. So why don't we just get to it, shall we? Okay. All right, friends. So on your request, I am doing some overshot. Yes, friends. When I asked a couple weeks ago what should be the next project, the overwhelming response was overshot. So I have overshot. Now, here is, let me set the scene. So we have an online weavers guild, which we love. And part of the guild is having a quarterly challenge. So our challenge for this quarter is it's called Think Small. So you can interpret that however you want, but it needs to be, some element needs to be small for you. So I thought, this is great. I still have to do my quarterly challenge, which is due in just a couple weeks, 2 weeks to be precise. Ooh, 2 weeks. It's due in 2 weeks. And this is a perfect opportunity to do some overshot and knock out my quarterly challenge for the Online Weavers Guild. So I picked up, I've got one of them here. So I looked to my shelves and I wanted to find 2 yarns that I liked that were a smaller size. So this little nugget is an 8-2 tencel. So I have this one and I have a very bright orange. And I laid out my warp. So one side is all this kind of wine color. The other side is all orange. And then it's kind of mixed in between, in the middle. So then the next step, I had to pick an overshot pattern. So I went to my lovely Bertha Gray Hayes book, which is brand new. This will be the first time I'm using it. I'm very excited. I mean, the book isn't brand new. I bought it from Carol. But I started thumbing through and wanted to find a pattern that sparked my interest. So this is the one, this one right here. This is the one. I like it because it's kind of lopsided and a little bit wonky and goofy. I just think it's really, really cool. Now, here's what's interesting. You'll see in just a moment. Mine doesn't quite have this proportion, and there's a couple reasons. We're going to talk about that. But the threading at the top, ooh, such a bear. The threading was been a mess. And then the treadling, I've already made multiple treadling mistakes. So I've had to come in and give myself a little cheat sheet. So to answer your question, here's, okay, don't mind the chicken scratch, but I have had to kind of break up the treadling in a way that makes sense. Here's what I find interesting is that when people write patterns, write drafts, I don't always love the way they organize it, if that makes sense. And that's just me, because I would rather do it another way. Look at, it's going to be so small, friends. Look at the tie-ups right here. Do you see? It's all like, it's just 2, like you would a 2-2 twill. That's how the tie-ups are organized. But it's not started with like 1 and 2 on the left, and then 2 and 3, and 3 and 4, and 4 and 1. No, it's all, it's like split. It's a weird, reading the treadling has been a challenge. Let's just say that. So thus, I really had to make my own little cheat sheet of what goes where. Now, as you saw the pattern, there's kind of 2 alternating segments where you make one kind of little lopsided, it looks like a little walnut or something, like one of those, and you got another one, and they kind of alternate back and forth. So you just have, like, if you're on one, then you're on the other. So it kind of goes back and forth. It's been a challenge. Let me just say that. Now, let me bring you in close so you can actually see, after all that talking, let me just show you what I got going here. So here's what's interesting, is that I like to really load up my, the pattern weft that's supposed to be bigger than the other background weft. But I think I've actually just made it proportionally, it's too big because I'm not used to working with such a small yarn. Okay, just to be clear, 8-2 tencel for some of you is not a small yarn at all. For me, it is pretty darn tiny. So what's happened then is that my pattern has become kind of stretched out this way. It's not as kind of squat. It's not, the proportions are a little bit different. Now, here's the thing. If you have seen the actual what's it supposed to be, that's the only way you would know that this is not how it's supposed to be intended. So I like to keep that in mind, is that if I didn't tell you what it's supposed to look like, it would still be lovely and just fine. So, so what I did with this is that I took a series of, let's see if I can get this kind of close to you. I took a series of different kind of creamy yarns, and this orange is actually the orange that's here, the same yarn as here, but I put them together to be my kind of pattern. This is the flashy one of the two wefts. This is the one that's really it's the glamour girl, versus this one is the one that's holding all together. This is the one that is the structural weft that is just kind of a tabby. Although my pattern doesn't technically make a tabby, but it's close enough that it'll hold it together. That's the whole point, is that one weft has to hold it together. The other one has to make it look pretty. Those are their jobs. So let me see. Okay, this is going to be such a test of my multitasking skills. I would like everyone to appreciate that I'm not a good multitasker to start with, let alone when I'm trying to do overshot and talk to you with a more complicated pattern. I would just like credit for that, because that's just so you know. Okay, so let me get my cheat sheet. Let me do it. Where am I? Okay, here we go. I'm going to put that right there so I can see it, so that I may have a chance of talking to you and doing this at the same time. So part of the fun and the challenge of overshot is that you're always managing two shuttles. I like to always lead with the background shuttle, and then it comes kind of follow the leader. So it's always background and then pattern, and then background pattern, like just over and over again. The trick is keeping it straight in your head, which shafts need to lift at what time. And that is an ongoing struggle. That is not, friends, I've been weaving for over 20 years. That is still one of those moments where you're like, oh, I just flipped those. I just did those backwards. So let's see how we do here, shall we? By the way, one of the ways you can help yourself out is that I know that if my shuttle's on the left side, my foot is going to depress the treadle that's on the far left. Pardon me. I like to at least have some kind of visual cue when it comes to that. Just anything to help you focus on the stuff you need to focus on and not worry about everything, every little detail. So that's how I like to do it. Just as a little tip. So here we go. By the way, for floating for overshot, you are going to need some floating selvages. That's the recommendation. Okay. So I throw this guy first, and then I'm going to switch my feet to here. Here we go. So this guy, by the way, this is a pretty shuttle. This is a ski shuttle. If you've never seen this style of shuttle, the one trick with the ski shuttle is that on occasion, these little guys can catch your floating selvages. So you just have to be a little bit careful. But I think shuttles are so pretty, and that's a very, very glamorous one. Okay, here we go. So that's my first pick. Now I'm coming from the other direction. This is just my tabby. I know my shuttle's on the right side, so I'm going to press down on the treadle that's on the far right. Now, the beauty of overshot is that there are times that you will have the same shafts lifted or lowered, depending on your loom, for multiple times, because you want to build up that component in the pattern. So for this one, I have to do shafts 1 and 2. I have to do it 4 times. So every time I pick up this one, then I know that I have to be lifting shafts 1 and 2. That's per the pattern. That's what that looks like. All right, back to a little tabby. 1 and 2 again. Dun, da, da, da. Oh. See, multitasking. Multitasking is tricky. All right. I just did it 3 times. This will be number 4. Okay. Boy, I have a lot happening here. Let me wind some on. All right. That's okay. Now, next part of the pattern is 4 and 1. Now, for me, what makes it kind of easy is that I have my treadles all tied up so that 1 and 2 are together, then 2 and 3, then 3 and 4, and 4 and 1. So in my little cheat sheet, I just put the first number because that's all I have to kind of keep track of. I know they're tied up together. So if that helps you too, that's a nice, here we go. Okay, so now we've got 4 and 1 are lifted. You guys can see that, right? 4 and 1 are lifted, and I do that 3 times. There will be times when you're looking at a draft where it'll just say the number 3 if you have to repeat it 3 times. In Bertha's book, she actually spells out each one, which, that's a choice. You can do that too. That's no problem. I don't know there's a benefit to either way. You just have a shorter, more compact draft if you have the numbers. It's up to you. All right. What was that? This is 2. And then this will be 3. Okay, so we'll do one more little section of it so you can see it. So then the next section, what is it? 3 and 4. I get you 3 and 4 3 times. So you see how this goes though, right? Once you kind of get into the rhythm of managing both shuttles, it's yeah. I mean, it helps if you're not talking to 38 people online, but if it's just you being able to focus, that's fun. Yeah. Okay, let's see. This is the second one. Release that there. And then this will be the third right here. But you get the idea. I think what was fun about this one is that first of all, you know me, I'm very, very, very rare. I'm never going to do one solid color for a warp. So I knew I wanted to have lots of colors in the warp. But then as I think about like historical coverlets, historical overshot will be like all a creamy, solid colored warp, and then say like a navy blue for the weft. And I thought, wouldn't that be fun to kind of tip it on its head and have the colors in the warp and then have the weft be some kind of a creamy color. Okay, so let's see. We did like from here. We did this little bit right here, right now. That's what we just did, friends. It kind of looks like it could be like a on a sofa, right? Like upholstery fabric, but really pretty, really pretty colors for the upholstery fabric, right? It's fun. So hopefully that gave you a nice little taste of the world of Overshot. Yeah.